Happy Tuesday, everyone, and happy birthday, Jordan Howe. It's going to be a good day today. It's going to be a good time. But before we get to that, let's talk about our warm-up. Good morning to Sumo Squat, 3 to 5. We're going to use this to really open up those hips a bit, really get those legs fired up. After that, we're going to move into our single leg RDL, 3 to 5 per side, just really touching on the hamstrings. Narrow squat for 3 to 5 to 3-1-3. Again, just opening up those ankles, hips, and knees, making sure everything's feeling pretty good before we start going into some high volume squatting. And then a foot assist pistol for 3 to 5. Really just kind of zero in on those ankles and that foot position for our squat. We'll hit that for 1 to 2 rounds. We'll move down to the bottom piece, which is going to get more dynamic and a little bit more skill oriented towards the workout. We have a single arm kettlebell / dumbbell deadlift for 3 a side, just working on waking up your hinge. And then you're going to move into the explosive variation of our kettlebell or dumbbell swing, right, for 3 to 5 reps. After that, we're going to continue on, moving through some good technique work with some goblet squats of a 3-rep goblet squat at a 3-1-3 tempo, finishing off with some jump squats for 3 to 5, a little bit more dynamic, and then our burpee breakdown to practice some key positions in the burpee. 2 to 3 rounds through that. That's going to give you a chance to figure out working weight for your kettlebell swing / dumbbell swing, or just get you really used to it, get that body fired up for that dynamic swing. Excuse me. From there, the work set. The work set today. Oh, she's a doozy. What we have for all of you, we have 5 rounds. Kettlebell or dumbbell swing for 15, we have burpee for 15, and a jump squat for 15. So it's going to be a lot of leg and a lot of cardio. So I hope you guys enjoy and embrace it. It's going to be a fun day today. So 5 rounds of that. Check the workout description. I'll have some other things down there, some notes for you guys to check out for some options later in that work set for you guys to make this one yours. So pause it, rock it, come along with me. Let's get you warmed up, and let's get ready for today. All right, let's get those feet under those hips. Let's take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're just going to stretch it over to one side. Then we're going to come back through and stretch it to the other side. Reaching up through those arms, big shrug. We'll come back down with the shoulders. We're going to forward fold, touching those toes. We're going to walk up those shins, nice flat back. We're going to come on down, framing the foot. We're going to step back into our lizard. In that positioning here, we're going to take that inside hand all the way to the sky. We're going to come back down, planting on that front foot. We're just going to turn the torso and then come back through center, lowering the knee, press the hip, come back to center, press the hip, back to center, and press the hip, and back to center. We're going to straighten out the back leg, turn, come back through. We're going to take that hand on the foot back up to the sky. We're going to lower that hand down and step back into our down dog. Reaching those hips nice and high, setting those shoulders really well. We're going to come back into that plank and step that other foot up into that nice square hip position. Inside hands, we're going to reach all the way up. We're going to plant that hand on the front foot, turning the torso. Then we'll come back to center, and then turn, and then come back to center. Ooh, and turn, and back to center. I totally just added a couple in there. We'll lower the back knee, press the hip, come back through, press the hip, back through, and press the hip, and back through. Straighten out that leg, take that hand on the foot all the way up, plant that hand, grip the floor, step back into our down dog, reaching those hips, come back into that plank, pressing the floor away, tiptoe those feet up. We're going to roll ourselves all the way up overhead, big stretch, and then come down with those hands. Let's get fired up, you guys. Now, if there's anything you need to take down today, maybe your shoulders or your triceps were a little tight after yesterday, maybe some cat-cow, thread the needles, take those down for yourself, get yourself fired up and ready. We're going to move into that first phase, which is really going to get those legs and hips ready for action. All right, we're going to kickstart off with a good morning to Sumo Squat. So we're going to get ourselves established in that sumo stance. So I'm going to turn profiles just so you can see my hip position a little bit better. but my feet are in that slightly wider stance with a slight toe turnout. My feet are flat, really well grounded into the floor. I'm going to pull those ribs in to get that nice neutral midsection. So my hips are nice and line, my body's nice and solid. And I'm going to draw my hips back, taking them to the back of the room as I feel those hamstrings kick on, still maintaining that flat foot. I'm going to stand up nice and tall. And then I'm going to change directions and pull those hips down towards my heels. So I hit that nice sumo squat and stand. I get myself set up, draw the hips back into that good morning. I stand tall, changing directions now, hip to heel. Keeping that body upright as best I can and keeping those knees pressing out. So it's very important you press those knees out a little bit more than normal on that sumo stance so they behave and they follow and track the toes and not collapse inwards. Once we're done those 3 to 5 reps at a slowish pace, we're going to move into some single leg RDLs. And you can load this or not. We're really just trying to touch and wake up the hamstring a bit. So we're going to get that one foot planted, the other toe in that kickstand position, and those hips nice and square to the front. We're going to hold on to the dumbbell or the imaginary dumbbell and just going to draw the hips back in that same hinge pattern we just used in the good morning. Hands going to come to about the knee, and we're going to stand up nice and tall. So again, resetting those hips. I draw back, keeping the majority of my weight through this front balancing leg, and then I stand tall, opening up those hips to that nice extension position. Once I'm done 3 to 5 per side, at a slowish pace here with those, I'm going to move into my narrow squat. So I'm going to take my feet from my sumo into my regular, and then anything inside that regular stance can be my narrow squat stance. And this can change day to day, week to week, hour to hour. So keep this in mind. Give yourself the narrow stance for you today that's going to allow you to move to your best ability. So standing tall like we did in the opening movement set, we're going to draw those hips down towards the heel. Keeping those feet flat and that body upright. We're going to really experiment with our range as we really push the pace on those ankles, knees, and hips, really opening them up. You may find that you're lacking range here, and that's okay. It's a very tough position, and you might find that you're a little higher than you normally are with your squat stance and squat positioning. So take your time, use it for what it's there for. It's really there for balance, opening up the ankles, hips, and knees. Now last but not least, we're going to move back to a single leg option. We're going to work on a foot assist pistol. So I'm going to come back profile again. I'm going to get into that same position to start for my RDL, except instead of hinging, I'm going to squat. And I'm going to keep that toe down as a kickstand. So I'm going to draw my hips towards my heels, keeping my body as upright as I can and my foot as flat as I can, all the way through with that weight right through the midfoot. So I'm looking for that weight of my body to stay right where those laces are when I do that foot assist pistol. Now if that's getting easier, what we can do is we can take that kickstand position and then take a dumbbell up under the chin and goblet squat it. So we're going to take that nice goblet style pistol. Regardless of adding the load to it, it doesn't change the movement. It might change how it feels, but it doesn't change the position where the hips go, the weight through the midfoot, and that flat, strong foot. Now, if that's getting easier and you've used a bunch of different loads and variations of loading for that, what we can play with is taking away the balance, so taking away that kickstand leg. We can still use the foot assist, so the foot's going to come planted onto the back of that heel. So I no longer have it for balance, but I do have it to help keep my hips square and engaged. So I'll draw the hip down, same positioning as the other one, pushing through that leg, except I don't have the balance to keep me upright. Now I've been doing this one for a while. They feeling good, feeling easy now. You can load it, all right? So the same idea, load it with varying degrees of loading, and then once you're done with that, we have other variations, but that's a nice little building, stepping stone kind of progression over time to build a really strong foundation for the pistol, all right? And for your squats in general. It's going to help balance out those air squats, all the squats we do with load, so it's a really nice assistance tool to build those squats in range. As a quick recap, we have a good morning to Sumo Squat, 3 to 5 reps. We have a single leg RDL, loaded or unloaded for 3 to 5 reps per side, taking that at a slowish pace. Narrow squat 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo, and then our foot assist pistol 3 to 5 aside, one of those variations that I just showed you. Again, taking it at a relatively slowish pace so we can control every inch of that movement and really get all we can out of it. We have 1 to 2 rounds of that. Take it down, rock it well, get those legs fired up, get the body ready. We're going to move into the next phase of work, which is going to get a little bit more dynamic and explosive. All right, we're going to kickstart off this next phase with a few single arm deadlifts. And this is really just, again, to wake up our hinge pattern and just get those legs ready, get that body kind of prepared for a little extended range of motion compared to our kettlebell or dumbbell swing, but it's going to get those hips and hamstrings ready. So I'm going to stand over top of my dumbbell in a sumo position. So it's cutting my foot in half. I'm going to get myself standing nice and open, very similar to how I set up for my good morning to Sumo Squat. And I'm going to draw my hips back, taking my hand to my knee. Once I get to my knee, I'm going to lower my hips and shoulders together, lowering my body down to the dumbbell. Once I'm here, I'm going to push through those legs, opening the hips and knees, standing up to that tall position. For my next rep, I'm just going to take it somewhere below the knee, maybe to the floor, maybe just mid-shin, but wherever I feel comfortable to maintain my back position. And I'm going to do 3 of those per side. Again, there's no tempo for these, but we'd like you to take them at a smooth pace, a nice slower pace, so you can groove the movement pattern and get prepped for the swing. Because the next exercise in our list is a kettlebell or dumbbell swing. We're going to get that hinge a little bit more explosive. Now with the kettlebell, you'll hold both hands on the bell. With the dumbbell, you can hold it in a few different places. So variation number 1, we hold by the bell. So we cup the bell and we hold the bell. Variation number 2, we hold by the handle, 2 hands on the handle. And variation number 3, we do a single arm holding by the handle. Regardless of how you hold the dumbbell, it does not change the hinge pattern, nor does it change the movement. The only thing with the single, you have to fight that rotation a little bit, but we want to make sure that we're focusing on that same smooth hinge pattern. What that will entail is our feet coming to our squat or just outside hip width stance, just enough space to get the dumbbell or kettlebell through. We are going to draw the hips back into this quick little hinge, my power position. So as if I was going to do that vertical power jump. My hand will always stay above the knee. So I'm going to keep it wrist to zipper if you have a zipper. But we all know the fly-on pants, right? So we want to keep our wrist close to our zipper. Now I'm going to take that body back, stand, getting that nice explosive leg hip extension, and allowing myself to use those legs, use those hips to get that dumbbell or kettlebell moving. Now with this, we want to make sure that we're trying to keep our feet as flat as we can through 99% of the movement. If they happen to come up a little bit at the end, that's okay, but we don't want to be there very long. You want to use the ground, use the force of your feet pressing against the floor to get that dumbbell or kettlebell moving. On that second token, we want to think about moving with the bell or the dumbbell, all right, not trying to control the bell. Control your body position, move and absorb with the bell. So as a quick little recap again for this, we get our step position, I get that nice smooth hinge, quick extension, and again, the height of dumbbell or kettlebell is going to vary to where you are comfortable. I only wanted to get as high as the legs will allow. It's a great movement, great for building speed, power through those hips, and building some really good conditioning. Now our next exercise is going to use the dumbbell. We're going to pop it, or a kettlebell, underneath of your chin, and we're going to work the goblet squat. So we're going to hold that dumbbell up under the chin. In my regular squat stance, I am going to draw my hips towards my heel, keeping that body upright, pressing into the dumbbell as much as I can, and using those good squat mechanics that I've been using throughout my warm-up so far with the narrow squat and the sumo squat. So we're trying to build that movement all the way to that goblet squat. Right after the goblet, we're going to put the dumbbell down and you're going to do one of 3 things. We're going to do a jump squat, a non-jumping jump squat, or an air squat. We're going to do 3 to 5 reps. So starting with the air squat, it's the exact same thing we just did. did, minus the goblet, minus the dumbbell. So I draw my hip towards my heel, my feet stay nice and flat, my body is as upright as I can, and I'm really trying to stay balanced through the midfoot. Now the next variation, I do the same air squat, except I'm going to accelerate a little faster and pull down a little quicker. So I'm going to not leave the ground, but I'm going to accelerate and pull into my squat. My heels came up a little bit off the ground by that quick hip and knee extension, but I'm not leaving the ground per se. Then my last variation is the jump squat. So I am actually going to leave the ground. Do the same squat, I drive, and I pull into that bottom position. So 3 would look like so. Up, up, up. So I'm really working on that strong hip extension, knee extension, to get a little lift off the ground. I'm not trying to go super high, nor am I doing a power jump. I'm doing a beautiful squat and just a really hard extension out of the bottom. Rock whatever variation you like or combination of those jump squats you like to get yourself ready for what's to come. Last but not least, we have the burpee in our workout today. So we're going to work a burpee breakdown. So the burpee breakdown is doing a burpee or a squat thrust, but stopping in some key points to check positions. So what those points look like. So the burpee as is. I come down, lower the floor, finish. The burpee breakdown is going to pause in 3 positions. Position number 1, coming down, pausing. So I'm set through my shoulders, my ribs, my elbows are stacked over the top of my hands. Position 2, hands are under my shoulders, my core is tight, and I'm in that knee push-up position. Position 3, I pop up, flat feet, stand tall. In the burpee breakdown, you don't have to jump in the air to get that extension, but we do want to stand all the way up to show that clap at the end. You can also do that with a step back as well, pausing in those same positions for about 1 to 3 seconds to check those key positions. Again, core engagement, elbow stacked over top of the wrist, in the press, hand under the shoulder in that good hollow, and then popping with those feet flat. Now the squat thrust breakdown, a little different, but we can still focus on a few key points. I come down, as with the squat thrust, pop my feet out, pop my feet in, stand tall with that little jump. With the breakdown, we are going to take a little bit of time pausing in the plank, making sure my hands are under my shoulders, my plank is nice and solid, I'm pushing the floor away a little bit, and then I can pop, feet flat, stand tall. So I only pause in 2 positions, but I am still checking to make sure that that wrist is stacked under the shoulder, I'm in that good position for my core, and my legs are the pieces that are free to be dynamic, where hip to head, rock solid and stable. So a couple things to keep in mind. Again, we're not just doing burpees or squat thrusts in that burpee breakdown. We are pausing in a few key positions to practice and check in our positions. Quick recap, single arm kettlebell or dumbbell deadlift for 3 aside, kettlebell or dumbbell swing for 3 to 5, goblet squat for 3 at a 3-1-3 tempo, right into one of those variations of jump squat for 3 to 5 reps, and then a burpee breakdown or squat thrust breakdown, 3 to 5 reps, pausing in each position for about 2 to 3 seconds. 2 to 3 rounds, you're going to use that to figure out your working weight for your kettlebell or dumbbell, and you're going to get yourself fired up and ready to go for our workout to come. So take that down, hit it hard, rock it. Let's chat about our work set. All right, the workout. We've already covered each movement that we're doing in our workout today, so we're not going to go into too much detail about points of performance. If you like that, please scroll back, check those movements out that we just did in our warm-up, and that will give you many, many points to focus on in each movement throughout your work set. But what we have for your workout today is 5 rounds, kettlebell or dumbbell swing for 15. So you're going to pick a way to hold that kettlebell or dumbbell. If you're doing a single swing, you're either going to do 8-7 or 5-5-5. You're just going to split the work between both sides, making sure you do that throughout the work set. With our burpees, we have 15 reps. Woo! It's a good number, all right? And you can either do a step back, step in, jump back, jump in, or any combination of those two. You You can also substitute those burpees for squat thrusts instead if you want to go a little faster instead of the burpee. But you can play around with that. Again, if you're someone who is looking at increasing their burpee volume because you have some, but the volume in that is a little bit too big to do all burpees, you can do a couple different things. You can do 10 squat thrusts, 5 burpees around, or start with the burpee for 5, finish with 10, or you can alternate rounds. You can start with squat thrust, rounds 2 and 4, you'll do burpees, full burpees all the way through, and that first round, third round, and fifth round are all squat thrust. So there's many different ways that you can build and start playing with that volume of the squat thrust and the burpee. So use those tools to build that capacity. You got 15 reps, they go by pretty quick, but definitely focus on those key points we focused on in the burpee breakdown. After that, we have our jump squat. I'm gonna have some different variations there for you guys to play with for yourself in the jump squat, so check those out. I'm gonna have some different things there to see where you wanna go, how you wanna play with this. It depends on what you wanna get out of it. So, check it out, make this yours. It's gonna be a gasser, it's gonna be relatively quick. It's not gonna be too long, but you know, the numbers are quite large as an overall kind of capacity. But I hope, Jordan, you have a fantastic birthday. Enjoy it, have fun with it. It's a good time. And everyone else, celebrate. Let's have some fun on this Tuesday. As always, work for quality, have a fun time. We'll see you tomorrow for another birthday. Woo! Bye, you guys.